5 of DO's SuperGP Champions Trophy brings us to Buffalo City, the friendly city, East London and East London Grand Prix circuit. And in the background, you can see the ominous Potter's Pass.
Yeah, Potter's the fastest entry into any corner in South African motorsport. The story today, though, is the weather. It's going to be wild and woolly. Last time we were here, around about the same time last season, it was absolutely stunning weather. It's freezing cold, and there is more than a chance of rain.
Looking at Super GPs, of course, there's going to be big action in that Super GP category amongst the usual contenders. Matthew Scholtz is the man to beat. Can Clinton Sellem find something on his Yamaha to catch him? And maybe we'll get Lance Isaacs up there on the BMW if it gets wet.
Yeah, Yamaha carrying a lot of momentum coming into this round. Moving on to the Super 600s, everyone chasing down on Odendaal. Odendaal has had a few mistakes this season, and this round, he needs to keep it clean.
Speaking of mistakes, already mistakes out on the circuit as well due to the conditions yesterday in practice and in qualifying this morning. So things are going to be really tight in the Super 600s. Look out for the triumphs coming through nicely, especially at this circuit. Alan John Fenter back from duties at the Isle of Man. He'll definitely be running at the front end.
RC390s, the KTMs, the first time they've been down to the circuit, running very respectable times in the mid-140s, but they are the biggest category on the day, and we've got a lot of new kids lining up, chasing down championship points leader, Friend.
William Friend is the man to beat, that is for sure, Matt, but also look out and look at the fact that a couple of these bikes are taking some strain at the circuit. A couple of blown engines yesterday, that's going to be a concern, but I'm sure KTM will get it sorted out.
Let's go on board with Magic Mike White as he takes us around this iconic circuit. Everything she's got by the time you are entering Potters. It is 6th gear, flat out, a small roll-off, back on it, and then it is held wide open all the way through Rifle.
Yeah, have a listen to this as they head towards Rifle Corner. You probably won't back out of it at all.
No, stays with it all the way in, and then you bang down the gearbox. 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 2nd gear for a stop-start corner.
Yeah, Cocobana, very difficult to get right. Got to run wide ever so slightly. Watch out for that rumble curb. It can catch bikes out. And we've seen a couple of guys running wide in the practice sessions. You don't want to be doing that. You'll end up on the beach.
You are protected here from the wind, but it's extremely bumpy. Then you enter into gate. It's a first entry, then a second entry that sets you up for the complex.
And it's the first time that you flick it over onto the left-hand side of the tyre. A couple of guys have been caught out here in the past, Darren Binder being one of them. Look out for opportunities, especially if the weather stays like we've just seen it is. If it's wet through the complex, the left-hand side of the tyre is going to be cold. Guys are going to have to be very, very careful.
Again, extremely bumpy. Then you try and grab as much inside curb. This is where you climb up the gearbox. This will be 4th gear, tapped out. And then this is Beacon, the final turn and the most iconic overtaking place on the circuit. Very hard to hold the inside line. Then you go all the way out to the rumble strip, tuck it in. There's a bump as you shift up into 3rd gear, and then you bury yourself behind the screen and click through the box.
East London Grand Prix circuit, such a hard place to come racing because it has the longest and fastest straight in motorsport on South African shores. The RC390s, the junior racers, the Super Juniors, arrive here, and it is going to be very tricky for them to dial this place in. One of the biggest entries we've seen, the Cape Town kids have come up, but they're all still chasing down on William Friend. Friend has been the dominant factor the whole way through the season, but this may change things up. He's a big kid. This is long gearing, and we've already seen that the little bikes are taking massive strain around the circuit. They are running under 2 minutes in their qualifying times, but come racing, we're going to have to see who will throw the dice. It is going to be a strategy race this time around.
Couple of new juniors coming to join us in the KTMs and looking forward to that, but some of the guys from Cape Town come into play as well.
Well, it's a very fast track out here. It's very difficult. You need to hit those apexes and get on the gas as early as possible. Otherwise, you lose so much time on the entrance into corners and the exits.
The track's very fast. I've never ridden a track like this before. And being by the coast with the very strong winds, it's very difficult. And you have to have a very good game plan here. I'm feeling very good. I would like to hopefully get at least one race win today. Like in Cape Town when I got the double, that'll be really nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and go out there and give it my best, see how far it goes.
I'm from George. We usually ride in Cape Town in the 150s. The track is very fast and it's something to get used to, but it's very fun.
Fantastic, and now I understand you're also riding with a certain person in the race. Tell us about him and who's going to win between the two of you.
My boyfriend, Kuen's name on, he'll definitely win. I am sure of that.
Raced 150s and 100s, now just stepping up to 390. We got offered a ride from Uncle Dave from Rad. So we just want to see how nasty London is and how the circuit is. It's a very fast track. The bike's it moves around a lot. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to having a dance with a few riders in the race.
Hello, my name is William Friend. I race in the Super Junior class under Rad Motor, and this is my NGL Logistics delivered to you in 60 seconds. I think my proudest moment has to be when I won the international race in 2011 on NSF 100. My favorite racetrack would have to be Red Star Raceway, as that's where I won my double race in the national championship. My favorite superhero would be Superman because he's strong and fast. I think I'd take Nando's because Nando's is more healthier than KFC. My favorite sport besides motorsport would have to be swimming, as it still keeps you fit. MotoGP because the bikes are fast and the riders are more skilled. I think my motorbike sounds like a lawnmower. My biggest rival I think would have to be Heine van Rooyen, as if we have had lots of hard races against each other. I think my most prized possession would have to be my mountain bike, as it still keeps me fit. My favorite sports car would have to be a Ferrari, as it's nice. I'd take a mountain bike over a road bike, as you can do more stuff on it, including such as wheeling. My favorite actress would have to be Julia Roberts. I think I'd take Instagram over Twitter, as there's more pictures and it's got more stuff to do on it. My favorite cartoon would have to be Tom and Jerry, as they always want to hurt each other.
Some unfortunate news before the East London round. Jenna Claire Eckhout, one of our lady competitors, suffering a concussion at the Red Star round, and that will see her missing in action for the rest of the 2015 season.
Wish all the very best for a speedy recovery, but Koen Snyman didn't worry about it at all. He went ahead and put it on pole ahead of William Friend and Brandon Staffen. Then it was Dominic Doyle, Lance Murray and Tyrese Roberts, Luca Coccioni, Chase Holscher and Zante having a great outing for their first time in the Super Juniors.
The guys qualifying on a 1:42. We didn't expect to see them going under 2 minutes, so the guys doing a stellar job getting these bikes into some kind of race trim, because remember, they have to run extremely tall gearing for this track.
Great start off the line there from Brandon Staffen. He got everybody by surprise and leads down towards Potters Pass. Pirelli Potters, as we call it this time out. As they head down there, it's William Friend, and not a great start from the pole man. Snyman is nowhere.
Totally different conditions from Friday practice Saturday, and the first time we've raced on a Saturday for the 2015 season, and the promise of rain was looming. The juniors would be holding their breath, praying that those grey clouds that were coming in from Beacon Turn would stay away for a while.
They keep it buried through Potters, they keep it buried through Rifle, head down towards NGL Logistics, Cochabana corner, and onto the braking markers. William Friend extremely late on the brakes. Not good enough to sneak up on the inside and take the lead there. Staffen hangs on for now as they get onto the beat straight, but look in the background. Snyman has got through and is now putting pressure onto Murray.
Snyman super strong, and a kid, kind of rangy rider, able to climb around on the bike and rail different lines to everyone else. And in the mid-pack as well, a lot of the new riders trying to figure things out and nail down how to actually ride such a very technically demanding circuit. On a bike like this, you've got to bury yourself behind the rider in front. If you lose the toe, you lose the race.
And the toes that we're going to be talking about the entire time, because slipstream effect here at East London is crucial. Snyman using it around the outside, trying to sneak through on the inside. The king of the outside line had to go inside that time. The reason being is that they've got to come and take a slightly wider line coming through the sweep and up towards, out of the complex and up towards Beacon Corner, because unfortunately a little bit of standing water on the circuit is a concern for some of these riders.
As far as strategy goes, the championship points leader, William Friend, was trying to roll the dice. Would he pay the price though? Because he was checking out and having to do all the work by himself across the stripe at the end of lap number 1, held more than a half-second advantage over the rest of the kids. But everyone else was now starting to work together, and they would close him down and chase down the number 1.
Lance Murray using that slipstream effect to perfection there as you see him come across the line. But then, of course, Dominic Doyle returned the favor. That's how long the straight is for these little 390s. There's an opportunity for you to get into the slipstream, pull out and overtake, and if you don't get away from the rider in front of you when you do that overtaking maneuver, he might be able to return the favor and do the same thing to you. Exactly what we saw Dominic Doyle do there.
Yeah, Lance Murray was the shining light at the previous round. Breakout rider coming in at the halfway marker of the season and starting to show good. Just at the back of this freight train, the 2-2 of Tyrese Roberts starting to build pace as well on a brand new bike. Actually blowing his bike up in practice, so still trying to figure out the sweet setup, and he was starting to fall off the pace as well, as was Coccioni. Could not bridge the gap.
Yeah, unfortunately what happened was the gearing of the guys and some of the riders, not quite the way you want to be riding a bike down here at East London, and Lance Murray showing us how to almost back it into Cochabana corner at the NGL Logistics sign there. Great effort there from him, but he hasn't been able to absolutely get past and just put the wheel in to show Snyman the way through Cochabana. He's right there, and as an opportunity, Snyman actually losing some ground to Staffen, and everybody losing ground to Wild William.
Yeah, William Friend still by himself. There was a breakout though, because the third place dice was a three-way split. Marais, madman on the brakes once again, and he would lead into the complex, climbing all over the bike, but you could see the mid-corner speed from the outside line. Cape Town, the king of the outside line on the 46 Sneyman. He was definitely getting held up there, and he would have to figure out another place on the circuit to get the moves on.
William Friend having a look back to see how far he's pulled ahead of Staffen. Side-by-side action from Marais and Sneyman as they head up towards Beacon Corner. Who would have what it takes on the brakes as they come up to the corner now? Look at this. Absolutely incredible stuff. The two of them getting right into the mix. On their tail was Doyle and Tyrese Robert. Now bridging that gap, almost there. Looking at the way that Tyrese Robert has set his bike up. Remember, Matt, you were talking about the fact that he'd blown the engine. He actually climbed on board Dave Griffin's and just changed the plastics of that bike to his plastics, which he's just had newly resprayed.
In the background, unfortunately, the field completely blistered by the pace out front. The top 7 riders breaking away, and unfortunately, Coccione in no man's land, running around about 5 seconds off the back wheel, as once again the slipstream effect came into full effect going into Potters, and these kids did not back off once. They were almost held wide open on these impressive KTM RC 390s the entire way around the circuit.
Certainly local is like a little bit of local support being given to this man at the front end from Jason Joshua at transport.co.za, but he was there in the house looking at the fight that was happening for third place on track, and Sneyman almost did exactly what we warned you about. Don't run onto that rumble strip, you will end up on the beachfront. He's trying to use that outside line, which of course he has become king of, and here we see him once again closing into the back end of Staffen.
Yeah, Sneyman had made his way eventually around Lance Marais and was attacking his stablemate coming out of Cape Town. Cape Town would now have to work well together to close things down on William Friend. Friend knew he was in trouble. He had lived out loud out front for a very long time, but now the two Cape Town kids were in the zone. They'd got rid of everyone else and they would close him down.
Cylinder head issues on the KTM at the front was causing a lack of power for William Friend. That's why the two Cape Town boys were starting to close. There was concerns on the wall, but he still managed to maintain the lead for now. How much longer could he have, and how many laps did we still have to go? Not many.
Yeah, it was all starting to break out loose, and there was a clean, definitive split. The top 3 were gone. The chase 3 were going to be battling over the minor positions down in 4th place, but it looked like the 46, Kewan Sneyman, was in the zone, railing completely different lines, much faster mid-corner and exit, and he would eventually get around his Cape Town stablemate.
Now looking for opportunity down into the NGL logistics section of the circuit, Cocavana as we like to call it here in East London, and now as they get onto the braking markers you can see just how difficult it was going to be for Staffen.
This shot actually just proving it. William Friend working by himself, the two Cape Town riders pairing up, cutting a massive hole through the air, and all of a sudden, right on William Friend, all of his work that he had done in the first half of the race was for nothing. It was a 3-way split for the first time heading into gate.
Although we're concentrating on the first 3 riders, an epic battle in the background there between Dominic Doyle, Tyrese Robert and Lance Marais. They went 3 by 3 as these guys went 2 by 2, and for the first time a change up in the lead. Hitting the front, Staffen had shown the boys how to go through gate corner. Dominic Doyle was showing the rest of the pack how to go through there, and Marais trying to use that outside line. He'd seen Sneyman hit it on occasions, and as Sneyman came into sight once again, he was now losing ground to William Friend and his Cape Town counterpart. Absolutely amazing riding coming out of Brandon Staffen, but William Friend on a slightly less powered bike, certainly hanging tough with the two Cape Town boys.
Out of all of the riders in the top 3, Sneyman had done the most work to try and get up onto the back wheel. He was now in the 3 spot on the 46 machine and would just take a lap or 2 just to catch his breath before he pulled the pin and went for the big attack on the last couple of laps. In the 4th place battle, it was all about Dominic Doyle staying ahead of the 22, and Tyrese Robert was starting to come on strong as well to get around Lance Marais.
With 2 to go, it was anybody's game at the front. Staffen looked like he'd made just enough of a gap to get away from William Friend and from Kewan Sneyman, but we saw that with 2 riders behind, if you work together just for a couple of corners, especially on the straightaways and heading down towards the beach straight, you can close and bridge that gap very quickly.
Yeah, if you are Johnny No Mates out there trying to run away, you need a couple more extra ponies. You will not be able to gap the rest of the field if 2 riders work together behind you. And the 95 of Brendan Staffen was rolling the dice to see if he could pull the pin. Very, very fast rider coming out of the corners, and that for now was giving him just enough advantage to hang on out front.
Wide stuff from Doyle. Lance Marais saw the opportunity and might be able to get him into gate corner. Tyrese Robert has now right on the tailpiece of those 2 bikes, fighting for what is 4th place on track. And as you can see, Stafford now opening up a little bit of a margin. I think Kieran Snyman has to pull the pin.
Yeah, the 46 has done all the work. He's caught his breath and into the complex, which is his best sector of the track. Once again, has to actually roll off mid-corner. If he's going to make a move, it's going to be in the complex.
Now out of Diode Complex now through the sweep, watching out for the water puddles on the right-hand side. Don't really clipping those, especially on the Pirelli tyres. And we spoke to Mark from Pirelli about these tyres. Look at that side-by-side action from Snyman and from Friend. Friend, I think, might lose out on the brakes here. Snyman beats business, and he goes through. In fact, he goes through on power. You can see that he was battling. But William Friend, under braking, comes back at Snyman and shows him the way in the beacon.
Yeah, Snyman's so good on his exit speed. He's got a very comfortable setup, doesn't mind how much movement the front end has got. He's very confident with the front end of that bike, and that allows him to rail those big outside lines. The top three are not going to get caught by the other chasing three who are battling over the fourth place. But look how close it was between Doyle, Tyrese Robert, and Lance Moret. There was less than 0.2 separating those chasers as they cross the strip.
And in fact, side-by-side action showing just how well these Pirelli tyres were working. And speaking to Mark, as I was mentioning a bit earlier, these tyres do not go off and they do not get any better than what they are right now. They basically stay the same the entire race, so there's no opportunity or no advantage given to any of the riders based on the rubber that they're running.
Yeah, nice and consistent, and that's what we've seen. And we found a couple of the riders just find their confidence a little bit quicker than the rest. That's why you see the gap break out, and the two kids out of Cape Town, Snyman and Staffen, have really started to pile on the pressure. William Friend knows he is in a race now as they go bar to bar for the first time going into gate. Again, it looks like it is all in the hands of Brendan Staffen. The 95 controls the advantage into the infield, but this is where the big kids start to catch him up.
Yeah, watch out for those two big boys in the background. Staffen now going to try and hang on, but Kieran Snyman going to try and use the outside line and try and make an opportunity to get through here on William Friend. You can see William Friend battling with the acceleration out of the corners. That's where Snyman's catching. Look at that. Round the outside comes Snyman. Uses it to his advantage. Oh, he's going to try and split the two of them.
Try to thread the needle there, so these guys are leaning all over each other, banging bars. This is the final turn of the first race, and there are three riders going at it. Who will it be? It's going to be a drag race, Greg.
Well, Staffen comes out, but he runs wide. So does Snyman. Oh, Snyman nearly comes into William Friend. William Friend sneaks through opportunistically and goes through. He's going to take the win. Unbelievable stuff. The champion-elect has come through to steal the victory from the two Cape Town boys.
He needed that as well. It looked like they were going to have him. Out of all the riders, it looked like Kieran Snyman was the faster, was the stronger, but he just picked the wrong moment and the wrong time to go for the big dive into the final turn. Lots of respect for these kids at the first time of racing down at East London Grand Prix circuit.
Incredible stuff seeing William Friend take it from Kieran Snyman and Brendan Staffen. Dominic Doyle eventually in fourth place, although it looked like he'd lost out right in the closing stages to Moret and Robert. Then it was Coccione, Chase Holcher, and Zante Otto. It's pretty much a stock standard road tyre. They're not going to get any better or any worse during the race, are they?
Absolutely. Like I say, it's a stock standard road tyre, and they are what they are. They stick what they do around the circuit, and they pretty much shouldn't go off at all.
Now, Matt was talking about it, and I was talking about it in the race. There is an option possibly next year to bring in a full race version of this tyre, and that should give them at least 2 or 3 seconds difference in terms of lap times at all the circuits we go to.
Yeah, it's possible. We're still under negotiation, discussing to see what the effect on the bikes will be. We'll see at the end of the year, and hopefully we'll go that route.
Brandon Staffen, the bronze medal goes to him. Mark Eatwell, the man we just spoke to from Pirelli, will be handing second place to Kieran Snyman. And from Rad KTM, Dave Griffin will hand out the gold medal to Wild William Friend. It didn't quite go according to plan after your magnificent start.
No, I mean, I put it off to a good start, and William came buzzing past me. He rode such a good early stage of the race. I think he just suffered a bit of fitness, and then me and Kieran caught up, and then we tried to maintain it, but we try to go 3 abreast into the last corner, and that's not the way you do it on the last lap.
No, you can't do that, but I'm sure you've learnt your lesson and probably going to find another strategy for race 2.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd just like to say well done to William and Kieran.
Definitely some work to do. I would just like to say well done to William. He rode such a good first half of the race. It was unbelievable. And Brandon as well. And I'm a bit sorry about the last corner. It was a little bit close, but well done to everyone.
From the start, I was pushing hard, and I saw the gap was staying. And then towards the end, I started suffering with grip, and I lost it a few times through the S's, and then that's where they caught all the gap. So I decided to back off, stay in third a bit. And on the last lap, when they started bumping, I backed off completely because I knew they were going to run wide, and I took the inside line, and that's how I got through.
checkered flag is what everybody is hunting for today in Super 600s. And of course, the man to beat is Steven Odendaal. He's been very dominant all season long. It's now time to consolidate those points, get as many in the bag as possible because we're running out of championship rounds. With only Red Star and Desi's Raceway left, today is the day to sort things out and see if they can get as many points as possible. Look out for Anthony Shelley making a welcome return to East London, and the first time for him on his new team, the MTech Racing Yamaha. And look out for the two Kawasaki's as well of Michael White and of course Blaze Baker, looking to make a welcome return to the front end after some issues down at Red Star Raceway.
With a strong 10-rider lineup, we caught up with one of the heroes and one of the guys that was looking to turn his season around, AJ Federer, back from duties in the Isle of Man.
Yeah, Gugu, I was away at the Isle of Man TT. I got back 2 weeks ago to finish the SuperGP Championship. I had a good run. I rode 122 mile an hour in the stock race, 116 on the 600, and now I'm back on my triumph. You know, I've got sponsors in South Africa to look after, Full Throttle, Visenhoff, Imperial, Auto Armor, so yeah, let's have a run around.
Now, yesterday, during the very first practice session, you had a moment. Tell us about it.
Well, Gugu, on my third lap, I went into Coco Cabana, came out of rifle, touched the front brake, and the handlebar snapped. So the first one snapped, the second one snapped, and eventually I just jumped off the thing, and I got drowned in the mud, literally.
And now tell us, in terms of your prospects today in the Super 600s, how are you feeling, and are you looking good for a win at least?
Yeah, we've made good progress, Gugu. The triumphs, it's myself and Nicole, we're both within each other. We've both had an off this weekend, so we'll see now in qualifying. We seem to be moving forward. I'm hoping to run with the front pack, and hopefully we can put a triumph on the podium. Adolf, we understand that you brought in Darren Upton to come through and help you out as a teammate for this wonderful round in East London. Tell us, has that worked for you?
Yeah, for sure I rang Darren to try get in there with the front guys and help me with some points, and yeah, I honestly believe it's going to work. We have to see the first race. It's going to be very close racing. This is a horsepower circuit, so for sure it's going to be close, and I don't think there's no one's going to break away, so we'll see how it goes. I believe he has what it takes to win and to scrap with the guys. Yeah, for sure.
And tell us, in terms of qualifying, we see that you're in second place. Any other issues in it?
Yeah, for sure. Qualifying didn't go as planned. Had a big mistake here in the last corner, crashed out. Yeah, second, I'm not happy with that at all. Well done to Steven and Blaze for third. Yeah, we'll see how it goes for race one. Keep it up on the black stuff and hopefully I'll take the win.
Hi, I'm Anthony Shelley. I race in the Dio at Super 600s, and this is my NGL Logistics brought to you in 60 seconds. What is my proudest moment? Probably when I won my first national. My favorite racetrack on the SuperGP race calendar is probably Red Star. My favorite superhero is Superman. Blonde or brunette? Both. Nando's or KFC? I would take KFC. My favorite sport besides motorsport is running. MotoGP or SPK? I would take SPK. My motorbike makes a big noise, but it's... My biggest rival is probably everyone in front of me on the grid. My most prized possession is probably my motorbike. My favorite sports car is probably my Toyota Quantum. Mountain bike or road bike, I would take mountain bike. My favorite actress is Sandra Bullock. Twitter or Instagram? Instagram.
And that was 60 seconds delivered by NGL Logistics with Anthony Shelley. And as you can see, Matt, things have totally turned around in terms of the weather.
It actually pulled in an hour earlier than predicted, so the Super Juniors got away with it. Just a couple of spots of rain on the visors, but for the Super 600s has been declared a full wet race. This is where not only the riders have to earn their championship, but also the mechanics.
Bit of shuffling and hustling in the pit lane. Got it all sorted out. There it is, confirmation of the wet race. And there you can see the championship leader, even with the wet weather cover on those Daneses.
Greg, you and I speak a lot about who are the wet weather pros. Well, it's kind of an unknown here as well. Not too many of these riders have had the massive experience in the rain. And not just rain, very cold and trying conditions. Based on experience and international flavor, you've got to go with the championship points leader at the moment, Odendaal.
I can see also different options except for Dylan Barnard being taken in terms of clear visors and pin locks on those visors. It's going to be tough conditions for Steven Odendaal, Adolf Boshoff and Blaze Baker on the front row. Anthony Shelley, Michael White and a new man, Darren Upton on the second. Alan John Venter, Darian Kaiser and Dylan Barnard. And right at the back, Nicole van Arsvegen.
So the first time the riders actually got to go out and test the conditions was on the warm-up lap, but unfortunately, Magic Mike White figuring things out a little bit too late. As soon as he flipped left into the complex, he put it down. He managed to pick himself up, but his bike and his leathers were covered in mud. He would have to just suck it up because it was time to go racing.
He got off the line quite nicely though, and slotted into about 5th place off the line, just ahead of Darren Upton. But whole shot was going to go to Udendahl, and on his inside, look out for Shelley. Shelley looking good and snuck through from the 2nd row into 2nd place.
This was going to be an extremely trying 12 laps for the Super 600s, not to only race, but to survive out there, because the rain was now hammering down on every single sector of the track.
And you can just see from the big spray coming off the bikes, not easy conditions to deal with at all. Anthony Shelley coming onto the braking markers, trying to sneak up on the inside, round the outside. How was that line from the Cowboy? Bossoff not only overtaking his teammate, but also overtaking Blaze Baker and Anthony Shelley. Shelley losing out to the Kawasaki, and it's side-by-side action. We can see here from the onboard, looking back at Blaze Baker. Shelley came back at Olaf Bossoff, but by the time they got to gate, they were almost 3x3 going into gate corner. Look at Shelley's bike, 2-wheel drifting into gate corner.
All over the place. Very wide line on the entry from Odendahl as well. That's Baker. I think Baker had to go around the outside. Odendahl was way offline. He forced Baker wide. Baker had to tuck it down, and he has gone sliding out in the exact same place that Magic Mike went down in the warm-up lap. Now he's going to rejoin and do all the chasing once again. The good news is, though, no damage on the bike. Nice, soft, squidgy, muddy landing for it.
Oh, we'll make it 9th place that he had to come back on, because Nicole van Arsbeek just behind him there didn't quite get there. There you can see on the outside, just losing the front end, slipping out and heading onto the grass. Almost identical position, as you said, Matt, to Magic Mike. Probably about 100 meters between the two of them.
Okay, here we go. It is time to start getting serious, because at the end of the lap, there goes Upton. Upton trying to carry a little bit too much mid-corner speed coming out of Beacon. Does a pirouette, keeps his hand on the clutch, keeps it running, and that is our 2nd official crasher of the race.
Here we go, back on board with Udendahl, and side by side with him coming up on the right-hand side is Anthony Shelley. The two Yamahas very evenly matched, and of course, the way they put the power down, it's going to be an interesting little look of affairs at the front end of this race to watch the Kawasaki getting away, and Adolf Bossoff is certainly doing that. There you can see, once again, a replay of Upton. Upton was following his teammate and thought, hang on a second, if the Cowboy can get through Beacon on that line, maybe I can too. Not quite, though.
And luckily, Stephen Odendahl was far enough back that he was able to react, and mercifully, the bike spun to the outside and didn't collect anyone else on the way. So Odendahl and Shelley doing all the big chasing, and down once again. That's Magic Mike, goes down in the exact same place with a little bit more drama and speed this time around as he did in the warm-up. I'm counting 3 crashes now, Greg. We're just going to have to keep a tally on this one.
I was just looking at the way he went down as well. Looked like he might have injured his wrist ever so slightly. He was holding his arm a little bit gingerly for my liking. The marshal's getting to him very quickly, getting him back on track. He is back on track.
Covered in mud.
A couple of damaged parts as well.
And his visor as well, completely covered in mud. That's going to be a very tricky scenario. Now, when I've spoken to riders in the past, they say the worst thing about that situation is your hand and your glove are covered in mud. So hard to hang on in there and get the job done.
Incredible stuff here from Darian Kaiser. Now, we mentioned the fact that he was a very good endurance rider in his day. He spent a lot of time on the 12-hour last year where he had to ride in torrential downpour. So this might just be an opportunity for Kaiser to sneak up onto the podium.
Just a ride and a war of attrition. Baker, incredibly, setting some of the fastest lap times out there. Very comfortable in these conditions. Even though he has been down the road, he is charging and closing in on the top 3. Massive damage on the left-hand side for Magic Mike. He's just going to have to survive out there. One of our breakout riders from the previous round at Red Star.
Nicole van Arsbeek trying to hang on to the front end of the Triumph, and you can see Alan John Fenter also battling with conditions here on his Wiesenhof Triumph. You can see just how difficult it's been. He's just come from the Isle of Man, where on occasions he had to spend time out on the Isle of Man circuit in the wet, so probably he'll have a little bit more of an advantage on how to handle these conditions than most.
Mike White on the comeback trail here, just scything his way through. Not one, but coming up on the 2nd Triumph as well, so the Triumph's not finding the settings that they want. And Magic, he's going to be charging through on the 58 to hopefully see a little bit of clear air soon. Still carrying so much damage on the left-hand side of that machine, but it's enough to make it work.
Now remember, as we said at the beginning of this part of the show, it's consolidation time. Get as many points as you can. Oh, Baker's gone down. Baker's gone down for a 2nd time, so things not going the way of the Pinetown man. He really hasn't got it all right, and that is going to cost him dearly. Wow, can you believe that? Blaze Baker, we thought it would be definitely at the front end of this race had it been dry. but not making it work. Coming into Beacon Corner, this is the champion. Oh, that is Odendaal down too.
Yeah, he had taken the lead after Boshoff had made his own mistake on the circuit and was trying to break away. We should be seeing Boshoff now come through. Yes, Boshoff retakes the lead and gets around Odendaal. Odendaal will be terrified of losing any more points in this championship now.
Especially with these kind of conditions. It's not the ideal ones to be racing in. We've just seen his championship rival go around the outside of him. Remember that Boshoff is a few points down to Odendaal's lead. Odendaal is back up and tracking, but you can see some damage there. This is Darren Upton, also with some damage on the bike. I don't think there's a bike out there with any damage. Probably only Nicole van Osviken, the rider who hasn't gone down yet.
Look at the pace of Boshoff. He's trying to stretch this away. He knows he's out front. He's just putting that thing sideways and wherever he wants. A long, hard look over the shoulder to make sure no one is chasing him down. Certainly no one is chasing him down at the pace that he is running. He is by far the fastest rider on the circuit. And look at the gap in the background. He has got something like 7 seconds over the rest of the field.
He's got a 5-second advantage in terms of lap times as well, Matt, incredibly. 7 seconds ahead of anybody else, 5 seconds a lap quicker. Hopefully Bix and Yami are going to tell him to slow down because you can't push that kind of pace right till the end. Darian Kayser fighting hard there. You can see looking for an opportunity to get up onto the podium, but I think at this stage he's going to have his hands full. Oh, in the background again, is that Baker for the third time?
Baker again. 3 is not the magic number. That was Upton that went through the shot. Then it was Darian Kayser. So Baker was also the second fastest man on track, and 3 is all she wrote. That bike cannot take any more hits, nor can the rider, but he was definitely on pace and a prediction to get up and run into the top 3.
Strike 3 and he's out. So that is the end of the day's racing there for Blaze Baker. Boshoff continues to lap at incredible lap times. I just can't believe the way this boy is going around here. And in fact, going past Magic Mike must have looked up and gone, how is he getting this kind of pace from that motorcycle?
Absolutely ridiculous. You just saw a shot of the river running across as the riders enter into Potters, and Odendaal, it looks like he is working around issues on the bike to just stay in the mix. Boshoff untroubled by these terrible conditions.
You can see that, as you said, Matt, Odendaal hanging on to second place. Doesn't want to put a wheel wrong now. Checkered flag coming out. Thank goodness. That's what everybody's going to be saying. The flag is out. Boshoff has won and lapping at 155.20 kilometers an hour in the wet.
We had a long time to wait until the second place rider came in, and at a moment it looked like it was going to be Darren Upton. He pushed hard and unfortunately went wide whilst he was closing down and looking to make the pass on Odendaal. Odendaal would eventually come across the stripe in second place, and because of the attrition rates and so many riders crashing, so many riders losing time and just not finding the confidence, incredibly enough, Upton would still limp across the line, cruising it and getting third place.
So Adolf Boshoff taking the victory by 49 seconds over Stephen Odendaal. Then it was Darren Upton. Darian Kayser pushed hard, as you can see there, right in the closing stages, but not hard enough to make it onto the podium, and he finished up in 4th place. Dylan Barnard, incredibly, in 5th. His best effort ever in the 600s, beating out Magic Mike, Alan John Fenton, Nicole van Osviken, and Baker with a DNF for Shelley.
Baker, if he'd have stayed up, was on point for a strong podium.
Strong podium, though, from Darren Upton in his first time of asking in the Super 600 class. Also getting the Rookie of the Day. Man, the ride of the day had to go to Stephen Odendaal. With a broken handlebar for the last 6 laps, still managing to get up onto the second step of the podium and show these guys that he wants that number plate to remain with his team.
Adolf Boshoff does a big bounce back all the way to the top of the pile and nails down a huge victory, showing himself as the Rainmeister and taking the win and the overall on the day to step onto the big top step of the podium. The Cowboy is back and no one is going to be able to beat him if it keeps raining the rest of the season.
Basically, I felt so good on the warm-ups, and I was just overconfident coming into the last turn. I lost the rear. Yeah, and we finished without any brakes. If you check the box, with no brakes in the front. So, yeah, it was a stupid mistake. But I think we would have been up there with Adolf to help him out there. But yeah, well done to him to finish first.
Yeah, it's been an up and down day, you know. We went from 3rd to 1st, and then I crashed on lap like 4, I think. And I had to, ride the whole race after the damage of the bike, and only had one handlebar. I mean, going through Potters and Raffle, it was crazy. one hand on a bike going like 200 or something. It's crazy. But I really enjoyed it, and at least we got some points today. We've got another race and hopefully get that one fixed and see what we can do. Yeah?
I like to push my limit, and yeah, the conditions were terrible. Just a big shout out to these guys actually finishing the race. Steven without a handlebar, that's flipping awesome. My teammate Darren Upton,
no brakes.
Yeah, no brakes to start off with, and yeah, I'd just like to thank Darren for come help me out this weekend. It's really been helping a lot. And to start off, Indie Oil, Arai, RSA Racing, Yami, Toy Store, everyone, just a big shout out. Without you guys, this series wouldn't be happening for me. And yeah, hopefully next race we keep it on the #1 spot.
As always at SuperGP Champions Trophy, we do things for charity, and a big run this time, of course, is our tin run, giving the opportunity to all the motorcycle riders around the country to come and join us at each round and bring in a can of food for a wanting and very worthy cause. Our worthy cause down here, of course, is the East London Senior Citizens Association, and more importantly, Manor House, which is run by Bev Lundell and your crew. Fantastic to have you guys here, and I'm sure that you're very happy with what's going home with you.
Yes, thank you so much for having us and for choosing us as the charity to support. We greatly appreciate it, and the old folks would also appreciate it very much.
Super GP's out for their qualifying, and at this circuit, qualifying is key if you want to get onto the front 2 rows. But come race time, it's going to be less important. Seller wants to get the numbers at this round. He's had 1 or 2 mistakes on the season, and with only 2 rounds remaining after we leave here at the East London circuit, he's going to want to try and nail down this championship. The Yamahas are starting to dominate on the season, and if BMW want to turn it around, they're going to have to pull out all of the German ponies here.
Lots of tweaking and lots of adjustments, and due to the conditions that we've already seen, not these bright and sunny ones we saw on Friday, but the ones that happened on Saturday, it was all about a change-up in qualifying and not a Super Pole. Just a standard qualifying, but of course the Super Pole would still go to the man who was fastest after qualifying.
Yeah, Seller is the man and always will be the man to beat. We caught up with a couple of riders to talk strategy and how the weekend had gone so far.
Yesterday we made 1 or 2 changes overnight, and then during the first practice this morning I just try to go a tiny bit faster, and then through the infield section the first left-hander unfortunately lost the front end, but luckily the bike wasn't damaged too much, so yeah, we will definitely be out for qualifying later. But unfortunately Brandon just had a second crash now, so we'll have to see how he goes, but yeah, I'm sure qualifying will be right back up there.
Well, that's a team. Yamaha boys having issues with their bikes, but we'll hopefully see them in qualifying later on this afternoon.
I'm very excited to be back in South African National Championship. It has been so long time I haven't been racing. On the other side, I'm a little bit nervous because it's first time for me here at East London. New bike, new everything. But I love the track, and I have got good feeling that we will do well. I raced in a British Championship, Super Stock 1000, then New Zealand Championship Superbikes. I raced in Costa Rica, Super Sport, a few other, what other countries? Here in 2013, Super Sport and Superbike. So yeah, I'm all over the show. We are doing our best at the moment to keep, me being back on the motorbike, and hopefully, if we'll be able to do it, I would love to race the next two rounds as well, so we will see.
Matt, you were spot on in terms of your prediction. Taking the Super Pole, Clinton Seller back up onto the top of the podium, not for the Super Pole, but for fastest in qualifying.
All weekend, my team's done a lot of work between the races, which is, I think, the important part from myself and the team, and I think that shows the difference on how the bike's running, what the guys, the effort that they put in, and I think that's reflecting on the racetrack. Listen, it's never easy. A lot of guys are fast out there, so we should have a lot of fun, a good race.
Hi, I'm Matthew Scarlett. I'm racing for the National MTech Yamaha team in the SuperGP Championship Trophy. This is my NGL logistics in 60 seconds. What is my proudest moment? Probably racing in the World Supersport Championship back in 2013. My favorite racetrack on the SuperGP calendar probably has to be Volcom. I really like the fast-flowing nature of the circuit. My favorite superhero probably has to be Superman. blonde or brunette. My girlfriend's brunette, so I'm going to have to go with that one. Nando's or KFC, I probably have to go with Nando's because it's a lot healthier. My favorite sport besides motorsport probably has to be soccer. I really, really love it. MotoGP or SBK, definitely MotoGP is better to watch, but I really like Superbike because our bikes are similar to them, and it's really nice to compare and see how those guys ride them compared to us. My motorbike sounds like bop, bop. My biggest rival this year I'd probably say has to be Clinton Sella. Both of us are battling for the championship. My most prized possession probably has to be my car. My favorite sports car probably has to be an Aston Martin. Mountain bike or road bike, I'd probably say mountain bike because it's a lot more fun. My favorite actress is probably Charlize Theron. She's an ex-South African. Twitter or Instagram, I don't choose either, but I'd probably have to say Instagram. It's nice to look through photos.
Ngosikaleni Afrika Marubagani supono ayo Izwa imitandazo yetu Ngosi sikalela tina Lusapo ayo.
A big thanks to Krantz Hoerskool for coming out to give us that rendition of the national anthem. On pole, Sella. Isaacs is going to be up there, as will Matthew Scholz on the front row.
Nicky Kershaw heads up row number 2. A great starter. Let's see what he can do in the wet. And Karen De Lange, welcome to Super GP Racing. Another BMW. And Garrick Flock returns, this time on the Quacker.
Sandra Samova, Dylan Bowles, Travis Nordia, Johnny Cricker and Brandon Good as they head down towards turn 1. Whoa, what a start there from the champion. He's got off the line nicely, but as expected, Isaacs in the wet is going to be a threat.
Yeah, he's very comfortable in the wet. He's been praying for this. The hard situation that Isaacs finds himself in is that he desperately needs championship points. So he, of all people, will be taking risks today to try and pull the pin and get ahead of the Yamahas, who, as we've said, carry a ton of momentum into these last 3 rounds.
Down into the NGL Logistics Cocobana corner, you can see just how hard those 2 Yamahas are working, and especially the blue one. On the inside, Matthew Scholz finding a way up the inside, but not able to make it stick on Sella. Sella comes back, retakes second place, but watch for the braking into gate corner. Remember, they're going to flick it over for the first time onto the left-hand side of the bike in anger, and when I say in anger, also in the wet.
Yeah, this is a never-ending set of right-handers, and at this point, you start turning left, and this is where all riders will have their hearts in their mouths. Isaacs first to cross a massive river there, right in the middle of the double left-handers in the complex, and he has been closed down. He does want clear air, but it's very hard to be the guy out front, plying the field and testing the conditions for the rest.
Yeah, watch out for the river that runs through the sweep as well, and now up towards Beacon. Remember, there were lots of water patches earlier on. We saw that in the drier conditions. Now there are puddles and massive dams, I would have to say, heading into Portable Shade and Beacon Corner.
Kershaw, we told you he was pretty tasty in the wet. Oh, there's Isaacs, and that is that. The BMW just snapping and spitting him off. So Black Swan Racing BMW rider Isaacs just gets flicked off. Not too fast, but he just got on it a little bit too hard coming out of Beacon at the end of the first lap, and he is going to be right at the back of the field now.
There you can see the high side, Isaacs going down. Well done, Matthew Scholz, for just missing Lance Isaacs as he high-sided right in front of him. He actually went and threaded the needle between Isaacs and that Black Swan BMW. The BMW, though, that has moved up through the field is Kershaw. The Tsunami Beach bike has gone so well, and he's right up there into second place.
Yeah, very strong. Kershaw measured in his approach as well. They seem to have got a better setup on his BMW from the beginning of the season. And Kershaw, although he's not necessarily in the hunt for the top 3 in the championship, he will start to climb the ladder because, of course, Brent Herron is out of the mix, causing himself an injury in a snowboarding accident of all things. Isaacs back up and trucking, and he will be right at the back of the pack.
He'll still stay out there, Matt. There's only 11 riders on the circuit, so there's still championship points up for grabs. And as we saw in the 600s, a race of attrition occurred. I wonder if the same thing is going to apply here in the Super GP category. On standby in the background, red lights ablaze. The ER24 Mazda is standing by in case something like that happens here in the Super GPs.
So we're watching Kershaw running in second place. No big urgency coming out of Scholz because he knows he's going to be climbing the ladder with Herron not there. Stomova, another BMW getting flicked off. So there's definitely a problem there coming out of Beacon. Just getting the power laid down and the second rider to get flicked in that corner.
Sella getting down into the 19s incredibly. Can you believe the pace of this Yamaha? And he's doing it all right. This is exactly what he needed to do to get away from everybody and just open up a margin where no one can close down on him. Remember the last time we came here, I don't want to mention it, but into that corner, after the race had finished, we saw a massive accident when he was still on board the Kawasaki. This time out, though, he's already told me after the interview at qualifying, none of that's going to be happening today. He is in race mode.
Yeah, he is making hay while the sun shines, and there is no sun shining whatsoever. He has got a pinpoint perfect setup on that Yamaha and comfortable. There's Kershaw. So what was second place is now gone. That means there are two Yamahas running 1 and 2 as the Tsunami, very aptly named bike beach bar BMW, gets pushed off to the side into the mud.
If you're on a BMW, you don't want to be going into Beacon Corner and Portable Shade
that
today.
way. It seems
All
to be that
three
way.
of them going down in Beacon. Not the way you want to be running things. This guy, though, is on a BMW. This is Karen de Lange. Silverton Midas is his sponsor. And this is a man that has certainly shown some promise, especially in wet weather conditions. His teammate, of course, to Darian Kaiser, who went so well earlier on in the Super 600s in the Endurance Series, and certainly knows how to ride a big 1,000 in the wet.
And Karen de Lange was down here at this race circuit just 2 weeks before, so he is carrying a little bit of track knowledge with him. Here's Isaacs, but look at the body language. He is very stiff, very rigid on the bike, and not comfortable with conditions at all.
And he's also got a bit of an injury coming out of Red Star Raceway, so he'll be battling with that as well as conditions and the fact that he's gone down with the potential of winning the race in the wet like we saw the last time we had a wet race this season.
So this is Karen de Lange. He's running in third place at the moment, and there are huge gaps blowing wide open. Quite a small field as well, and a lot of riders already going down. All that Isaacs can do as far as a championship campaigner goes, and unfortunately it's going to be a bridge too far for him. He just has to stay out there and tag as many points as possible.
There's still a good possibility of getting a top 5 finish for Isaacs. He's not going to catch the leader, who's now already caught onto the back end of the second BMW, who went down earlier today. That is Kershaw. And as we get into the closing stages, heading up into Portable Shade and Beacon Corner, it's just a matter of time before that checkered flag comes out. And it's going to be the number 1 plate to take the victory.
Yeah, it cannot come quick enough for all the riders who are remaining out there. Look how much water is just left standing on the circuit. The conditions have worsened throughout the race, and that is one happy checkered flag and an extremely happy Clinton Sella, who has cemented himself as the number 1 rider once again.
A little chat between him and Scalzi about conditions heading down there, but there you go, confirmation. Clint Sella taking the victory over Matthew Scalz. Karen de Lange crossed the line in third place, but unfortunately was disqualified, giving Nicholas Kershaw third and Lance Isaacs fourth. Winning the Super M's, it was all about Dylan Bowles, the lone rider on the R6. Sella on the podium, taking the overall victory ahead of Matthew Scalz. Karen de Lange still got Rookie of the Day.
Things have been difficult for me this round here. Obviously, this is my first time riding 1,000 here, but you know, as soon as the rain came down, I knew that would definitely help us pick up to Sella's pace. But unfortunately, while I was following Lance, he dumped it in the final corner, and then I tried to close down the gap to Sella, but he was just way too fast today. And yeah, well done to him, and I'm really hoping that in race 2 we can come back stronger.
Yeah, you know, I've never been really known as a rain rider ever, you know. So, but we've had good pace. I mean, we've had a really strong pace in the dry. So I was actually really hoping for some dry races, but it is what it is. But to be quite honest, that towards the end just got really sketchy. So you know, I was glad I was able to put a bit of time ahead of the guys and just bring it home, because at the end there it was, yeah, I mean, it was super sketchy. Yeah, that was some eye-opening experiences a few times there, but yeah, stoked to have walked away with the number 1 plate.
I didn't want to say, but it's probably more eye-opening than what you did the last time you were here.
Yeah, no, do you see, I didn't do a wheelie after that race.
Dylan Bowles, a happy man, and the only Super M rider to finish on the day. Congratulations, well done, buddy.
It's my second time out in the rain, and yeah, with the wet tires, it definitely makes a big difference. And coming out of all the corners, like sideways and on the limiter, and it was bad, but it was actually nice, fun.
Pity about the weather, but safety comes first. And then just quickly, a huge thanks to Turnskill Engineering, RSA Racing, and Burks and Adolf for lending me their bike for the weekend. It was awesome, great fun.
Things tightening up in the manufacturers, but Yamaha once again on top, and Gilbert Parsons represented Yamaha South Africa. Another great day for the Yamaha brand, and I'm sure that you're going to represent for Peter and the team.
Yes, we're thankful for the Yamahas. They really put us right at the top of the steps again, first and second, as you can see. Unfortunately, all our riders went down this weekend, but we all back up and we'll bounce back for the next one.
Well, Greg, what can you say about today that hasn't already been said? It's been a wild and woolly one. The first race of the day, pretty much okay for the Super Juniors, and right at the end of that, the rain pulled in. It was predicted to arrive at 1 o'clock. It came a little bit earlier than that, and it just stomped us right at the beginning of the Super 600s.
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing we can do about it. Great call from the COC from a safety point of view. Gives us an opportunity to go to Red Star and try and do some more damage to this championship, because we thought things might get wrapped up here for a certain championship. It wasn't the case due to the rain, which means it leaves this championship wide open for Red Star, and we look forward to going up there and doing a little bit more of the fun stuff on the black stuff.
Yeah, at Mpumalanga, we're pretty much guaranteed that it will be bone dry, which means it is going to be straight out bar-to-bar racing going into round number 6 of the DO SuperGP Champions Trophy from a very wet, cold and miserable East London. We'll see you next time.